Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you another movie review. This time we're going to be talking about Underworld Awakening. And, so I hope you guys have been having a good 2016 so far. Mine's been, pretty decent. I had a good time. I celebrated with my girlfriend on New Year's Eve and stuff. So hope you guys are, having a safe and fun time going into the new year so far. Alright, so I know I just reviewed Underworld Evolution, and that movie is just still fucking kick-ass to me. I just had a lot of fun with it, and really rejuvenated or like really awoken my interest in the series. I remember seeing the first one and Rise of the Lycans years ago. So when I watched Evolution again, it was just like, oh yeah, okay, I'll just watch a sci-fi action movie or something, and just kick back and relax, which I did. But little did I realize how into this series I'd get after watching Evolution. A lot of people throw these movies into the same category as Resident Evil films, and I think that is pretty damn unwarranted because these movies actually have substance to them. Yes, they have basically the same budget as the Resident Evil films, but at least they don't have any source material to butcher, right? So there's that, and also the fact that most of the Underworld films have done a really good job of laying out like a really nice lore and character history and all the detail they have about the Lycans and vampire feud and rivalry and stuff like that, as well as Kate Beckinsale's character's history, with Victor, Marcus, just a bunch of characters like that they really lay out really well. So I'm a pretty huge fan of the series now. I ordered all the movies on Blu-ray. I still have to get Evolution in the mail, ironically. But that should be coming hopefully today, but within the next week at least. But I have Underworld Awakening on Blu-ray right here. And now going into it, I was a little bit concerned because a lot of people are saying how it was the worst of the series and stuff like that. And not just the people I would bash the movies before, but like even someone like Jeremy Johns, who is a guy I pretty much watch every video he does. He's a guy I kind of trust with that stuff. He's not just like a random Rotten Tomatoes critic or something like that. And he was actually a fan of the previous movies. He said Evolution was his favorite. So the fact that he was disappointed with it and he was actually a fan of the films really worried me. And I heard a lot of things how it ruins like the lore and all the history they had set up beforehand and things like that. And while Underworld Awakening probably is my least favorite of the series so far, I don't think it's absolutely atrocious. I don't think it's horrible. I don't think it's awful. I actually still enjoyed it, a good amount. And when I say it's my least favorite of the series, that sounds a lot worse than it actually is for me. It's only my least favorite, really, because Evolution, Rise of the Lycans, and even the first one were just so great to me. So Awakening kind of had a lot to live up to in my eyes, I guess, in my mind. And I'll get into why it was my least favorite, but I really don't think it deserves all the hate it gets. But that's kind of the case with most of the movies, too. They get a lot of unnecessary backlash and stuff. It's kind of weird. But anyway, we're not talking about that in general right now. We're talking about Underworld Awakening specifically. And the movie really changes things for the series. Because last we seen, we seen Celine, after getting the blood from Alexander Corvinus. I may be mispronouncing that name, but she's able to walk in the daylight now, and she has an extra strength about her as a vampire as well. So they kind of there's these I forget if it's months or I forget exactly how long it is, but apparently there's this time of peace, or at least things are a little bit more quiet than they were in the movies we've seen, where her and Michael are just doing whatever. Until apparently the humans, find out about, or they find out that vampires and lycans, werewolves are real, and then they're basically becomes this whole massive hunt for each and every single one of them. Once humanity realizes, those things are out there, they're pretty much going around and butchering every single one of them they can find left and right. They're using like UV rays and different guns to burn vampires with and things like that. So really, that whole story point, I found to be pretty inevitable in that type of world, because eventually, really, how unaware could humans be for how long, so I kind of like the initial concept of it. What I didn't like was the fact that they skipped over that time in between evolution and awakening. Although they said it was a time of peace, so maybe it would have been that worthy of a movie story-wise to see that time period. But me personally, I would have liked to have seen the direct aftermath and what exactly this all meant for Selene right away, right after evolution, and how it changed things for her. So I would have preferred if that wasn't skipped over. But again, that's just a personal story choice they made, and I can kind of roll with it, I guess. Another criticism I kind of have about this movie is, really, I don't have like any huge gripes with it. There's just like a handful of small to medium sized ones, I guess. One other criticism I do have, though, is that yes, it feels a little bit more simplified than some of the previous movies. It doesn't focus as much on the history and the lore or the character relationships from so long ago or anything. There's a little bit of that, and you can still sense the previous movie's events on Celine's character. You can still see the weight of it, how it's dragging her, or how it's caused her to carry herself nowadays. I like to think I can still see that. I think it's there. And Kate Beckinsale's still good as ever in the role, so it's good to see her back. She's still really good at playing the cold, badass vampire warrior, I should say. I think. I might have mispronounced warriors. I don't even know how to say that. I'm sorry about that. But, so it's a little more simplified, and of course, if you guys seen the cover and you've seen the movie, there's a giant lichen, that's basically made, through scientific experiments, with, let's see, I might be forgetting the exact details of this, just give me a second. Hold on, one more second, guys. Alright, okay. Yeah, Quint Lane, he ends up being a powerful lichen because he was given, the super serum that they've taken from the blood of, the characters that are being experimented on and stuff like that. I'm sorry if I got that wrong, but I was watching the movie pretty late last night, so I might forget some details, sorry about that. I recognize the guy. He's like the male lead in Lost Girl, I think. So it's kind of cool to see him here, I guess. I haven't watched too much of that show, though. But, so things like that, the giant lichen and stuff, they feel a little bit tacked on just for the sake of having, like, a big, over-the-top action sequence. I'll grant it that, but really, I still found that there's a lot to enjoy about this movie. But my last notable criticism is, where's Scott Speedman? It's like a lot of fans, even the fans still like the movie. That is one thing that did bother them, so I feel like I have to talk about it too, obviously, because Michael's pretty much the second most important character in the whole franchise at this point, second to Selene, obviously. We don't really see him in this movie. We see him at the beginning of the film. He's actually played by a different actor, like a stand-in, basically. We see Scott Speedman in flashbacks, to the previous film's events. But then they have this different guy playing him as he gets shot and as him and Selene get captured and stuff like that. And as also when he's, being kept in that, tank or whatever it is that they're keeping him in before they break out and stuff. So I thought it was a little bit weird that they had a different actor in there. But I guess, it's such like a brief part for the character. Excuse me while I take a drink. But I guess it was such a brief part for the character. I was reading up about it last night. The director or, the people behind it, they just made like a story choice that they didn't want to focus so much on Cillian Michael in this movie. So that's why the character's part was so brief, and they didn't, obviously, money-wise, they didn't really want to pay Scott Speedman so much just for that one little bit part, and I'm guessing Speedman didn't want to just come in for that little thing either. So it kind of makes sense, but I still feel like if they showed the character in the present day, it should have been him, So that part was a little bit weird, but I can kind of get over it. And I'm pretty sure we'll see him in the next film, because I think his role is going to be important again. It's going to be more relevant to this next particular part of the story they're going to tell. And there is a new Underworld movie coming this year, so I'm pretty excited about that. But the main story that was going on, we found out that Celine actually has a daughter. Her name's Eve. She's played by, I forget the character's name. I forget the actress's name now. Give me a second. Again, sorry. Let me see if I can find it. I wrote like a couple paragraphs about this on Facebook. India Isley. I don't know if that's the right way to pronounce her name, but I thought she did a pretty good job in the role. And in a way, the whole daughter storyline, for Celine was kind of random too. Again, maybe that would have helped if we seen that in between time between evolution and awakening. That would have helped to explain things a little bit more. But even she was unaware of it, which I found to be a tad odd. But again, with the film circumstances, it kind of makes sense that she won't find out until she does. But minus the whole suddenness of that plot point, I did think they actually executed it kind of well in this movie. I like the effects or the design they used for Eve when she goes into hybrid mode. I thought that actually looked really, really, excuse my language, fucking creepy and badass at the same time. With the black around her eyes, and her eyes go blue, of course, and the teeth. I thought it was a really good combination. Makes it look really creepy, and it's also awesome when you see her rip that lichen in half, and just see her roar. That is fucking awesome, man. And also a lot of people can say this movie was sort of structured like a video game in a way. Celine and Theo. I'll talk about Theo James in a second, but her and him, fighting off lichens left and right, then Celine getting to the big boss, the big giant lichen and stuff like that. Which I kind of get, but again, that's kind of more about how the movie's story structure is a little bit more simplified than previous installments. But again, it's not that big of a deal to me, really. It was also cool to see Charles fucking dance in this movie, man. Of course, I know him a lot of us know him as Tywin Lannister from Game of Thrones. And he was also the old vampire in Dracula Untold, and he's done tons of other films. So it's pretty awesome to see him in this world now. Of course, he's a vampire elder in this, so that's really fitting. I think he makes a perfect, awesome, older, type of vampire. I think he really works in these types of movies. And I'm glad his character actually survived in this movie too. So I'm kind of hoping they get him to do more stuff in the next one. His character, I think that'd be cool. I guess Bill Nighy, again, I might be mispronouncing the name, but the actor who played Victor, I guess in a way he wanted to come back to the series. Like you said, they're vampires. You can just put my head back on or something, right? But they didn't really want to go down that story path. And again, that's their choice. That's their story choice. They are the ones behind it and stuff. But really, I think that someone like Victor, there could be some way he could come back or something. And if he did, that'd bring up a lot of shit, He's still my favorite villain in the series. So I kind of hope in a way they bring him back, but I'd understand if they didn't. Because obviously he's got his head sliced in half at the end of the first movie and stuff like that. Or even if they, it'd even be cool if they brought him back for like some flashbacks or something, or somehow have him a part of Celine's psyche again, like very apparent. I think that'd be a cool aspect, maybe. But anyway, that's not even connected to this movie. There's also Theo James as Charles Dance's character's son. They're this not last coven of vampires, but they're a coven of vampires. They're forced into hiding even more so when the humans are pretty much up their ass, trying to find the vampires left and right. But later on in the movie, we find out that's not really the humans at all too much. It's actually this whole setup to put the Lycans back into power. Like, this main scientist that was experimenting on the vampires turns out to be a Lycan, and so it really is all pulled back to the initial setup of the series of vampires versus werewolves. So I thought it was kind of nice that they did that in a way. Still made it about the theme we already know the series to be for. But in another sense, I do wish it was more about the humans actually doing all this and stuff like that. But but at this point, there are still some humans that are aware. I mean, there's the detective who ends up having a better understanding of Celine's perspective and stuff because of his own shit he's lost and stuff like that. His character is okay. I don't know if we'll see him in the next movie necessarily or not, but we might. So I thought the whole twist about them actually being Lycans was okay. It worked, but it didn't. I can kind of go either way about it, I guess. I did think that when the main scientist turned, he looked pretty creepy as a Lycan too. He wasn't it didn't really look like he was fully transformed, but he had like this more skeletal or skinnier but deadly look about him that I really liked. And then the final fight scene, with Celine against the big Lycan and stuff like that was okay. I actually sort of liked Eve's one-on-one with the scientist guy transformed. I thought that was a pretty cool fight back and forth. All these scratches, blood, and how Eve basically ends up literally ripping his throat. That was really awesome. There's a lot of other cool action sequences in the movie. I love the scene where Celine initially escapes from that tank. And she, of course, people are going to say I'm saying that because, we got to see, some of Kate Beckinsale's body. It wasn't all about that. Celine's just really badass, and that whole opening sequence, or earlier sequence of her escaping like that, and as well as when she would bite into the neck, and you really got to see her go into vampire mode. We got to see that a couple times in this movie with, blood and stuff. I just thought that was awesome. Going into the movie, I was really hoping I'd see Celine just really unleash that vampire side of herself and just slaughter some people, and we kind of got to see that, so I thought that was pretty awesome. Some really cool shots with the eyes and stuff. I liked it a lot. Let's see, what else? Any other specific scenes I want to talk about? I should bring this up too. But like I said, I did think they executed the Celine and Eve story well once it got going a little bit. When it was first introduced, it does feel a little bit tacked on. Or not really tacked on, but sort of like out of nowhere. But I did think they developed it, fairly well for the most part. And I did think Kate Beckinsale showed some good acting when she was really bonding with her daughter. She was saying how her own heart isn't cold, it's broken, and I thought that was a decent acting scene. I don't know. And then also Michael ends up escaping sort of off screen at the end. Celine sort of frees him towards the end, when she's kind of dealing with everything else. And we see, things from his perspective. We see, a POV shot of him on the roof and things like that, but he runs off, and then Celine and Eve and the rest go to find him, but he's not there. And, it kind of felt like a cheap way not to show him again, so they won't have to show the other actor playing him. But I think it's obvious we will see him in the next movie, and chances are Scott Speedman's going to be in it, in the role, with his character actually being a main part of the story after this point. But again, it's fine. If they wanted to take focus off of that and focus on the whole Celine and Eve thing, I think it was fine. And, we'll probably see the Michael and Eve dynamic in the next one, I'm guessing. See how they are together. But yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it's a little bit long, and I know I didn't go as in depth as I have with other movies. But really, also I watched this on Blu-ray, by the way, because obviously I showed the copy a few times already. It just looked awesome on Blu-ray, man. Really crisp, really clean. Underworld already has a really cool visual style with that blue tint they have in each scene, and just how clear it looked. It was just really awesome to watch, with that high quality of video. So I think that's awesome. It really just enhanced the experience even more. So overall, it's definitely not my favorite of the series, but it's one I can accept and enjoy for its own particular point of the story they're telling. And I'm definitely looking forward to the next movie. It's probably coming out next year. I mean, this year. I should say it's 2016 now. So I'll probably try to go to theaters to see it whenever it comes out. I just really love these movies, man. I don't know what else to say. But yeah. So if you guys enjoyed this video, you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Movie Pilot, and look for Inswelled.com. I'll catch you guys next time. And peace. Have a good 2016, guys. You will see me again. And enjoy the Vampire Diaries poster right over there. Right there.